I need to take this time to apologize. I have to apologize. I got to apologize to Stephanie White. I have to apologize to the Indiana Fever apologists. I have to apologize to Slurp FC. You guys were right. I was wrong. Stephanie White is the best defensive coach.
This isn't a real apology. It's a frustrated fan using sarcasm to show how angry he is. The Indiana Fever were completely outplayed by an expansion team, and the host of the Bendino podcast responded by sarcastically praising head coach Stephanie White. So, what happened in this game that left such a loyal fan this upset and disappointed?
We saw it here tonight. We saw it in Game 1, giving up 107 points to the Dallas Wings, and we saw them now, giving up over 100 points to the Portland Fire. She is a defensive guru. It's impressive how trash she is. It's impressive how garbage she is.
Here's why the praise was clearly sarcastic. The Indiana Fever allowed more than 100 points against the Portland Fire, a brand new expansion team. And according to this fan, it wasn't just one bad game. He also points to an earlier matchup where the Fever gave up 107 points to the Dallas Wings. That's 2 games with major defensive breakdowns. For a coach known for building strong defensive teams, those results are enough to make even loyal supporters start questioning her performance.
I say team because the Indiana Fever, they don't play like a team. It's just ISO trash, ISO trash, ISO trash, ISO trash. No help at all for the best point guard in the league. More ISO trash. And we get destroyed. The Portland Fire play like a team. Shooting a lot of threes. And we play like a 6th grade team.
Here's the part that really frustrated him. He describes Indiana's offense as the same thing over and over, isolations with very little ball movement. In his view, the team has no clear identity and relies too much on players creating their own shots, while the league's top point guard is left without enough support. At the same time, Portland looked organized and connected. They moved the ball well, created open shots, and knocked down three-pointers as a team. Seeing a brand new expansion franchise play with more chemistry and structure than a roster expected to compete was what pushed his frustration to another level.
What does Twitch Richardson do on the sideline? Oh, let's just take Caitlin Clark out. 45 seconds later, we lose the lead, 10-8. 2 minutes after that, 15-10, 11-2 run. At the 4-minute and 30-second mark, Ty Harris comes in. Ty Harris comes in the game before CC even returns. You want to talk about sitting there as a fan getting smacked in the face? It's exactly what we got. 3:30, Caitlin Clark comes back in. Well, Ty Harris comes in, instant turnover.
Now we get to the issue that drew the most attention, the rotations. This is the moment the fan points to as evidence against the coaching staff. Indiana started the game strong, building an 8-4 lead while Caitlin Clark had already recorded 3 assists in the first quarter. The offense looked smooth and everything seemed to be working. But then Clark was taken out of the game. According to the fan, the momentum changed almost immediately. Just 45 seconds later, the lead had disappeared, and within 2 more minutes, Indiana found itself trailing 15-10. The Portland Fire then finished the first quarter on what he describes as a 25-7 run. In his view, that substitution completely changed the direction of the game.
Minutes, 6 points, 6 assists. 1 for 7 from the field. She's in, she's out, she's in, she's out, she's in, she's out, she's in, she's out. Kelsey Mitchell, 17 points. Garbage points. Empty calories. Useless 17 points. AB, 18 points. Useless 18 points. Garbage points. Empty calories.
This is where the statistics start to support his frustration. Caitlin Clark played just 21 minutes, finishing with 6 points and 6 assists while shooting 1-4-7 from the field. According to the fan, she never had a chance to find a rhythm because she was constantly being taken in and out of the lineup. Kelsey Mitchell scored 17 points, but he argues those numbers meant little in a lopsided loss. Aaliyah Boston added 18 points and 7 rebounds, yet he expected more work on the boards from a 6'5" center. His conclusion is harsh but consistent. As currently coached, the Fever struggle to compete unless Caitlin Clark delivers a superstar performance every night, something like 25 points and 12 assists.
7 minutes and 48 seconds from Monique Billings. 7 minutes and 48 seconds for a player that we paid $850,000 for. Why do we pay her that money? Because she looked good for 21 minutes in FIBA basketball against bums. But she gets the money. Lexi Hull, 15 minutes, Did what? Did what? What'd you do? What'd you do? I don't even want to talk about the bench. Nobody on the bench impressed me. Michaela Timpson impresses me. Michaela Timpson, you need to be in the starting lineup, sweetheart. Monique Billings, you need to be warming the bench right next to Damaris Dantas, honey.
Then there's the financial side of the argument. This is where the criticism moves beyond basketball and into questions about roster management. The Fan keeps pointing to a player reportedly earning $850,000 who played only 7 minutes and 48 seconds in this game. From his perspective, that's a major investment sitting on the bench while the team is being blown out. At a time when the WNBA is debating player salaries and negotiating a new collective bargaining agreement, seeing a highly paid player receive so little playing time during such an embarrassing loss raises serious questions. For many fans, it becomes harder to trust the front office when expensive roster decisions don't seem to be making an impact on the court.
Defensively, would you think that our coach is a defensive guru? Hell no. You would think that our coaches grew from the Minions and Despicable Me. Twitch Richardson's arms crossed McGee doing nothing all game long. She, just like us, a spectator. That's all she is. She's a spectator.
This is where the frustration becomes personal for many fans. The criticism isn't focused on one bad decision or a single missed adjustment. Instead, the Fan argues that the coaching staff appeared passive while the game slipped away. He describes them as standing on the sidelines with their arms crossed, watching the action unfold without making meaningful changes. In his view, there were no effective adjustments on either offense or defense as the Portland Fire steadily took control of the game. He specifically points to Portland repeatedly targeting Caitlin Clark in screen actions and says Indiana never found an answer. Whether it was trapping the ball handler, hedging on screens, switching differently, or trying another defensive strategy, he believes there was little visible response from the coaching staff as the same problems continued throughout the night.
Caitlin Clark fans are pissed. I'm specifying Caitlin Clark fans are pissed. This isn't what we signed up for in 24. It's not what we signed up for in 25. And Methany White, you're doing a good job of taking it away. When that day comes that Caitlin Clark wakes up and says, you know what? Screw you, and screw you. I can't wait for that day to come.
This is the point where the discussion goes far beyond one disappointing game. The Fan is no longer just criticizing coaching decisions or player performances. Instead, he's talking about the possibility of Caitlin Clark eventually becoming frustrated enough to want out of the situation. Whether that concern is realistic or not, it shows how worried some supporters have become. Clark is widely viewed as the league's biggest star and one of the main reasons for the recent surge in WNBA attention, ticket sales, and television ratings. When fans start talking about the possibility of losing a player with that level of impact, the conversation shifts from wins and losses to the long-term future of the franchise. In the fans' eyes, the biggest danger isn't a bad season, it's creating an environment where the team's most important player becomes unhappy. That's why he sees this as more than a basketball problem. He sees it as a challenge that could affect the entire direction of the organization.
Off, let me be in charge of this team. We need a real coach on this team that'll say, this is your role. That's your role. This is your role. That's your role. Not, well, some days it's your job, and then some day you're the A, and then the other day you're the number one option. No, every fucking day you're the number one option. Every fucking day. If you're not, excuse my language, I'm getting pissed now. If you're not shooting 15 times a day, CC, I'm not a happy camper. 3 for 15, 4 for...
Let's separate emotions from facts because there is a real argument underneath all the frustration. First, the things we can verify from the game. Indiana shot about 31% in the first half and only 10% from three-point range. They also had 35 free throw attempts, which is 15 more than Portland, yet still lost comfortably. When you get that many free throws and still lose badly, the problem is not just officiating, it's everything else in your game. Now look at the rotation issue, which is his strongest point. Indiana started well, leading 8-4 with Caitlin Clark running the offense. But when she was taken out, the lead disappeared very quickly. Fans remember that moment because the momentum clearly changed, whether or not the substitution itself was the main cause. But there is another side he is not focusing on. Stephanie White has a strong defensive coaching background, and it takes time to build chemistry with a new roster. Players are still adjusting, and injuries and lineup changes make things harder. A few bad defensive games early in the season do not prove the system is broken. The expansion team point also works both ways. Yes, losing to a new team is embarrassing, but expansion teams often play loose, motivated basketball because they have nothing to lose. The salary argument is also more complicated. A player getting limited minutes in one game does not mean the contract is useless. Veterans are often used in specific roles across a long season, not judged by one matchup. At the center of all of this is one reality. Caitlin Clark changed everything. Every loss now feels bigger because she is the most important player in the league's current growth. That is why this game feels so emotional. So the real question is this just an overreaction to one bad night, or is it a real warning sign that the system and roster do not fit their star player? The answer decides whether Indiana is close to turning things around, or at risk of wasting a generational opportunity.